Good evening. It is Monday, October 13th, of 2025. This is the Stoughton Planning Commission meeting. We do have a roll call, and we are with the quorum, and we are certified in compliance with open meeting laws. So the first item on the agenda is consideration of the minutes from the last meeting. I would entertain a motion.
Tilson motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Schumacher. Any questions on the minutes? Hear none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. City Council Representative Report. Alderperson Caravello.
And it looks like at the September 9th meeting, ordinance 28 and 29 were passed, and at the September 23rd meeting, resolution 137 and 138 were both passed.
All right. Thank you. Nobody's here to speak tonight for public comment. So we will go to item number 7, which is extraterritorial land division at parcel in the town of Dunkirk. Director Munz Pritchard.
So I'm going to just explain this really fast. This is an extraterritorial jurisdiction. I'm recommending approval with the same recommendations that were with the county, that recording of the approved CSM and a deed restriction be placed on Lot 2 per the policies of the Dane County requirements. So.
Are there any questions? We do have a need for a public hearing, so if there's no questions, we'll close the session, go into a public hearing. Nobody has signed up to speak, so we can reopen for our business. We're looking for a recommendation to City Council. So they said to put a deed restriction on Lot 2?
Yeah, so really fast, I can kind of explain this. So, and I did reach out and was talking with the applicant who is here. So essentially this is what would be considered a flag lot, which I don't like them. You can have a whole slew of problems with stacking and whatnot. A lot of times it's confusing for 911. Because the lot is so long, Dane County is requiring that a deed restriction be placed in front of that, like, so you know what a flagpole looks like, right? That's the flag lot. So there's a deed restriction being placed in front of that per Dane County requirements. So there's like a farmland, like a farmland preservation, essentially has to say farmland deed restriction, which I'm fine with because, you know, really what we want to do is prevent that stacking, so.
All right, any questions on anything? Otherwise, I would entertain a motion, recommendation to the council.
Motion to recommend to council.
Second.
Second by Majewski. One last chance for discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Have a good night.
Yeah.
Can I ask just a technical
Sure.
question? When does it go to council?
It can't go tomorrow, so it'll go the following one.
Okay.
So,
28th.
yep.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yep, see you there. All right, item number 8 is a conditional use permit for indoor commercial entertainment, health or fitness center at 225 Whole Avenue. This one will also have a need for a public hearing, but before we do you want to give us an overview of this one?
Yeah, so, and Mike is here, I'll just point out. So this is the property. You guys, can you see? Oh, and by the way, I did do a consolidated, so did you find that in the box? Okay, great. Sorry I didn't say that to you earlier. There was one update to this, so, and I'll go into that in a little bit. It was after our TAC meeting. But essentially, the property currently has an approved conditional use permit for the operation of indoor commercial entertainment, is the fitness center, and then it also has the, like, basically the wireless building that's on the rear of the building, and that was done through, the first one was done through R130 in 2014, and the other one was done R120 130, sorry, I might have said that backwards, 2020. So just more of an FYI in the history of that particular area. So what he's proposing essentially is there is a request to put an additional building at the front to expand like with a gym and additional areas. So it'll be the additional areas, parking, and then the existing building. He has some other long-term things he'll come back for a conditional use permit, but at this time, we're going to be approving the conditional use permit for essentially what would be requiring for the fitness center. And I'm doing it as a separate one. We could do it as an amendment to the existing one, but I'd prefer to do it as a separate one right now. So it's zone planned business, and then it needs a conditional use permit for that requirement. It goes into the definitions of what needs to be provided for that, and I can read through those, but if you guys are okay with me kind of going through all of the stuff, just kind of on like the far away. Basically, it meets the requirements of a conditional use permit standards, considering it's already in existing use on the property. It's adding the secondary building, which is secondary building is a permitted use in that district. So a couple of things, and these are the conditions that I'm asking for. So number one, it needs to meet those minimum requirements of the planned business district. So right now, it's actually short on parking, but our parking does allow for adjacent parking lots to give parking to and there's a set of rules that has to be followed. So in other words, they can go in and contract for adjacent parking for the use, and I included this on the report, and they have to meet those requirements, and we need to see those, and that needs to get approved during the SIP approval process. And then we need to make sure the gross site area, the landscaping, is meeting those minimum requirements too. I think it's 25% in the planned business. A construction erosion control site and stormwater management is required. Please note that the project must be 40% TSS reduction requirements for the redevelopment of the site. It needs to meet the minimum requirements of the off-street parking and circulation regulations, which I, reference. I want a clearly marked pedestrian crosswalk shall be provided for each of the customer accesses. So if they're adjacent, we need to see how they're getting to that site, and this is going to be something I want approved during the SIP approval. The other one that was brought up on the newer one was it's looking for, one of the suggestions that came out is trying to tie in the sidewalk to the structures. One of the suggestions was if it's possible to get them between the two buildings. There's a lot of weird stuff going on that corner by the roundabout due to the reconstruction of that site, which Mike is very aware of. So, but that was an update that was asked for, was it needs circulation for the sidewalks for adjacent, and then if they can tie into that sidewalk out front of the building that needs to tie in, so that they don't have to just, like what we like to call, squirrel it across the yard or wherever they have to walk. Plus there's some weird stormwater stuff going on in that corner, and that's why they can't get the sidewalk adjacent to that roundabout area. Let's see, buffers shall be placed between the building and parking lot areas for safety. If you look at the actual plans, the parking lot's like right up against the building, and that, like if somebody accidentally hits the gas and the brake, they're gonna run directly into that building. So we're looking at some kind of buffer area there too. Easements for all utilities on the lot need to be established and recorded. Any public utilities that are not being utilized shall be abandoned and documented through Public Works. If needed, a developer agreement needs to be established to the property recording. And Mike, if you want to talk more about this when you get up here, but essentially what it is there is a private sewer service line that he is working with the adjacent lot to hook into, and that is legal for him to do as long as it's not a residential development. So just an FYI, so we want all that documented. So Plan Commission shall review and approve the SIP. Preliminary review information for the SIP needs to be attached for the report for future reference. Snow removal plan should be submitted with it as well. Once constructed, an as-built survey will need to be provided to the department so we can get a record of what's going on there. Approval by engineering, building inspection, fire inspection, any other city departments, which when I met with my TAC, we had a couple of things that came out of that meeting, but the big one was the sidewalk hooking in. If you want, Mike, you can stand up here so you can see me. I'm sorry, I keep seeing you. And then any other conditions identified by city staff and plan commission. So I did have an updated planner's report that was in it. You're not going to see it, Al, because I didn't redo it, but it's like the adjacent one. The only update to that was hooking into this, like trying to hook the public sidewalk into getting to the building essentially. And then one of the things that I did include was the recommendations, like as you go down, you can see what's required for the planned development district, and then also stormwater, off-street parking regulations, street lighting, signs, and then that joint off-street parking facilities requirements for this area as well, which is in our ordinance. So they have to meet all those, and then where you can find the building permits. And so with that, I'll go ahead. If you want to talk about it, you can, or field questions.
Just push the button there, Mike, and the red light will come on.
Yeah, so essentially what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to add more space and better utilize that piece of property for my business. And the growth of my business over the last 10 years has been pretty exponential. So with more amenities, more offerings, things like that, my business can continue to grow. We can offer more things to our youth and stuff like that in this community, as well as anybody else that's looking to gain traction in their wellness and personal well-being. Like Chris had said, we had to do a lot of research on finding where that sewer lateral was in the front of our property. There was no records of it. And then with the DOT and all that stuff, with the water retention pond that they want to put through there, and it was actually going to be over the top of that sewer lateral. As you can probably tell or know already, that property is not on any city sewer or water, so we'd be putting that whole parcel on city sewer and water and essentially developing that piece of property into something worth more value to the city, as well as myself. So that's kind of the idea behind wanting to add a new building, and then with the potential of repurposing the old building as well. The one hiccup that we have is the parking. I have been in contact with DER quite frequently, not only on the parking, but the DOT roundabout and then the sewer lateral. And they're in agreement to make it work for myself, depending on what we can come up with to gain those parking spots. I would put since it's not it's in a prescriptive easement, is that sewer lateral, we would do the work up front to put it into an actual easement so they can always have that as part of their property as well. So.
Any questions for Mike?
Yeah.
Just curiosity.
Turn on your mic there.
Oh, sorry.
What, you've already got, I guess, the design done already, but why didn't you decide to just add on to the existing rather than having separate structures?
That was the first steps that we had gone through. I actually proposed that to Chris a year ago. And engineering, with how the property's laid out and the drive, it would be almost impossible to do to make it accessible to that lower level, because it's a split level. If you guys have ever been in that as a church, the lower level is actually below grade to the road. So to do all the engineering and all the earthwork and stuff like that, it would be way more costly to do that than it would be to add a new building.
Any other questions? All right, we do have a need for the public hearing, so we would close the regular meeting. Nobody signed up, so we'll reopen. Yeah, the utilities got a little complicated, but Kevin down at wastewater went out there and on short notice and worked with the DOT to dig some holes and identify where everything was and what was there and what we thought was there, whether it was actually there or not. So that was a whole ordeal that I dealt with when I was the interim utilities director. So kudos to him for getting out there on short notice, and the DOT met him there too on short notice. So that was really good, because as you know, that intersection is going to be redone next year, and some of it is legacy, but other parts of it were just done when the roundabout was put in, so a little frustration on our part too, but we can only move forward, we can't go backwards, so thanks for hanging in there on that. Glad we were able to work through that. Otherwise, we're looking for a recommendation on the conditional use permit to take to the city council.
Tilson, yes.
Second by Bradford. Any discussion?
That's with planner's recommendations? Yes. Thank you.
Okay. No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So this will be on in what, 2 weeks from tomorrow?
Yes, and then also I did email your engineer about reaching out to him because we could see that.
I can,
Okay, I'll, feel free to call me if you want, so, okay?
I'll shoot a call.
Okay.
Awesome, thank you so much.
All right, have a good night. Okay, item number 9, informational.
Okay, so we're not going to put this on the next Plan Commission meeting because we don't need to meet, and this is not an urgent thing. So just more of an FYI, we are working on our comprehensive plan, and we started, pulling up what was zoned what in some of the districts, and there are districts that we have in our zoning code right now that there are no properties zoned for, none. And we have a couple of other properties, like the planned, like neighborhood and planned office, that we have 2 properties in one and like 3 properties in another, and they are virtually the exact same ordinance, exact same. So low-hanging fruit, the one that's not being utilized, I believe that is it's like general, or it's either planned industrial or general industrial. It's one of those 2. I'm going to get rid of it. It is verbatim the same ordinance, like between the 2. So I'm going to bring that back, and you're going to see some repeals for that kind of stuff. Then eventually I'm going to work with some of the neighbors on those planned neighborhood, especially the ones that are like 2 parcels, and just see about absorbing them into another zoning district, especially since they're the same thing. And I'm hoping this cuts down on the bulk of some of our ordinance. But I just wanted to give you guys a heads up, and that's why I was like, that's not an urgent meeting. That thing has been around for years. It can wait if you guys have nothing else on the agenda, which you don't. So I think having the next month off for you guys is nice, right? So that was it. And we made it under 30 minutes, guys. That's true.
Now let's see, what can I talk about?
Oh.
Do you guys have any future agenda items you'd like to see on here?
I do.
Okay.
At the last meeting, we had a discussion regarding detention ponds and their design. I would like to see, because we've had, and not only for detention ponds, but also for subdivisions, because we've had such a great track record of ingenuity and just plain creativeness to what we've been proposed to us, that we have a required stamp by a licensed landscape architect for both subdivision and detention ponds.
Okay, so I will do this, and I'll get to it when I can. I'm being serious. I'll put it on my list. You guys need to be aware that right now, I shouldn't say this on live. Our sign ordinance is considered unconstitutional. I know that sounds like really bad. It's actually not that bad. We can't reference things like garage sale signs. And so that's something that we're working on right now. So that'll probably be the next major thing that you see. And if you guys want to stick around and ask questions, the mayor would love to talk to you about it, I'm sure. So, so that's right now the next thing you'll see, but I agree, and that would be nice because then, I don't have a landscape architect degree in any capacity, so having somebody else sign off on that would be good. So, be nice.
Yeah, then the Park and Rec Committee have a couple that they work with, so you could talk to Tony.
Chris, I have a question on that, if I can.
Well, before you go there, you're misunderstanding. I'm not saying that the city have it stamped.
Oh, no, they need to have it.
Yes.
stamped. It's a requirement.
Yeah,
Yes.
we just have to draft the ordinance.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
okay.
agree. I
Okay.
agree. I like the idea of them having it stamped. It
Yes.
takes pressure off of, like, I like that idea.
Okay.
So, and I will get to it, I just don't
I-
know when.
Okay.
And then I have your fence stuff on the radar as well. So, just more of an FYI that it has not fallen down, it is in the list, okay?
No, that's okay. I agree with you totally on the lack of creativity and imagination. I'm so tired of these stupid little rectangles and squares. There is a lack out there, and builders and developers, that's not their gig, is the pretty landscaping. I was going to ask, is there a way that we can put together some pictures for them to say, this is our expectation? Because I think that gives a little bit better for people who really don't have vision. Sorry, but they don't in their houses or in their landscaping. To say, this is kind of where we're looking, to get, because it has been an issue. I agree with
X.
It has. So I will say, one of the nice things that just happened is we just approved that subdivision ordinance that's like you have to design around these areas, and we have some of them mapped out on GIS. And so I'm hoping that helps, because like it reminds me of, have you guys ever had to do, I don't know why you'd have to do this, but research on the 1930s plats? They just went in and put a grid. They didn't even care if there was a lake there. Like, I mean, I'm serious. Like, it would be in the middle of like, there'd be a stream through it, and it didn't matter. And so I would like to design around those so that like it's beneficial for the landowner, it's beneficial for us, like. So we do have that mechanism in our back pockets now, and I know I had a developer come in and I was like, this is getting adopted, you have to design around it, because the first thing that they showed us was like the grid, just the slap over grid.
Right.
So,
And I also want to see that, you can always tell that engineers have designed these subdivisions because basically they're scraping them down to tabletops, and then they don't work with the topography, they don't work with any natural features, they work with nothing. So that's why I'd like to see that there's a professional design element to this.
okay.
All right, any others?
The easiest way in the ordinance would be to put a picture of SpongeBob in there and no.
Thanks, Brett. Thanks.
Yeah, you mentioned the comp plan. It took a little bit, not a future agenda item necessarily, but I think I missed the community outreach interview. That's happened, right? Or has it?
Yeah, they've had several.
They've had several, right?
Yeah.
How'd they go? I just wanted to kind of hear.
They had a survey, which.
I think
may still be
they've
active.
had over 700 people reply to
Yeah.
the survey. If you guys, if you get emails from me, the information's at the bottom, because it's a third-party website. I would encourage you guys to go out there. Right now, I'm hoping that you guys are going to see some stuff at the beginning of the year so I can get direction from you. You know what I mean? Like what you want me to do, some of the stuff.
I mean, that's great numbers. I think I read last time it was like 30, and one of them it was very.
Yeah,
It looked like it was apathetic anyway.
yeah.
I think the school referendum had that way.
Okay, would entertain the motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Tillotson, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned at
Un-
6:24.
Under a half hour.